Welcome everyone to another episode of the Family Entrepreneur Life live show. Today, I have another episode of our Member Stories series. I believe, don't quote me on this because I always screw up the numbers. I believe we're on number 11. It would have been number 12 if I hadn't had to reschedule last week's, but we're on number 11. I've got the famous Ashley Grant here with us today, and it's going to be an exciting episode, to say the least, because I just have to mention this. Before we went live, she had to get all the swear words out ahead of time. She's going to try to keep it PG, but hey, whatever happens, happens. So welcome, Ashley. We are so glad to have you on the show. Why don't we get things started with you kind of telling us your family dynamic?
Alrighty. Well, my family dynamic is that I am married to a wonderful man who's the reason I became an entrepreneur, actually. We've been married 11 years, so it's kind of appropriate that this is episode 11 if it is 11.
Ooh.
And we have two fur babies, Bailey's and Kahlua, because Mama likes to drink. And kids are not off the table, but they're not on the table right now. So right now my kids just have paws.
Oh, I love that. I love that definition.
Yeah. All
right. So, Ashley, tell everyone how this whole entrepreneur journey got started for you. And I don't know if you've ever told me the story about your husband being the reason you got started as an entrepreneur. So I'm excited to hear that.
Yeah. It's a very true story, as they say. What's interesting is, and nobody believes this when I tell them, I was actually on the fast track towards becoming a high school social studies teacher. And
What?
I know, isn't that ridiculous? Like the one job I can't be PG-13 in. So I was on the fast track towards that. And when I met my husband, I was not looking for him. He just came out of nowhere, and we started talking one day, and he was like, well, what do you really want to be when you grow up? And I'm like, I don't know. And interestingly enough, a teacher of mine in college had a dream that I was a reporter. And for some reason, she took it upon herself to tell me about this. And when she was telling me, I don't know, it sparked something. And of course, it led to another conversation with my husband, who was at that time my boyfriend. And he was like, oh my God, you should totally be a reporter. You're so animated. And it's like, oh, okay. And so I started writing for the local paper. I was writing for the college paper. And I kind of bullied my way into getting every story that I could so that I could get my name in print.
No.
Yeah, well, I'm a very persistent pain in the ash. See what I did there? Ash. PG-13 still. So what I would do is I would call newspapers and magazines and just be like, hey, I got this awesome story. You really need to put me in your publication. And I finally had one guy who was like, okay, I'll give you a story if you quit calling. And I was like, okay, give me the topic and I'll hang up. And as soon as that happened, I couldn't get enough. I had to keep writing. And so I changed my major from education to mass communications and a specialization in journalism magazine. And the rest, as they say, is history.
So you and your hubby are college sweethearts.
Apparently.
Sorta.
Who knew?
Sorta. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Tom and I are college sweethearts. I'd love to find that.
Yeah. But in terms of the whole entrepreneurship part of things, though, I was going to write for a magazine and like be full-time with just them. And I quickly didn't like the idea of working for someone and not working for myself. So I started freelancing. And that was like my first taste of entrepreneurship was, oh my goodness, I can write for everybody and there's no exclusivity clause. Like, let's do this. So that's how the entrepreneurship wheels started turning for me.
Awesome. And so everyone, just as a disclaimer, Ashley and and Tom actually met for the first time because we were all going to the same live event. It was the Flip Your 9 to 5 Live, which was a collaboration between Shane and Jocelyn Sams over at Flip Your Life and Jill and Josh Stanton at Screw the 9 to 5. So we met at that event. And I remember our first encounter with you was did you offer to pick us up? You offered to drive us somewhere because you were local.
Yeah, and I met you guys at a restaurant.
Yes. Yeah. And so we hung out for like the whole weekend because Ashley just drove us around out of the kindness of her heart.
Well, I lived here.
At that time, we were at the event. It was kind of almost like a mastermind coaching event. You were trying to put together a course to teach other people how to be a ghostwriter, correct?
Yes. In 2014, I started ghost blogging, and I quickly realized that, you know, as the economy was turning to crap, freelancers were the first to go. Like, we were the very first people to go, from magazines, newspapers, everything. And so in 2014, in January, ghost blogging fell into my lap. I had no idea what it was. I had never done it before. But this lady called me and she's like, hey, I run a very successful business and I saw you're a writer and I need someone to write like 7 blog posts a week. And I'm like, okay, I can do that. And so the joke became, I don't get the credit, but I'll take your cash. And so I started getting more and more clients and started learning how it worked to be a ghost blogger. And all my freelancer friends were like, how in the heck are you making, you know, full-time income and you don't have to go back and get a job? How are you doing that? And I got really tired of, oh, let's have coffee and I'll tell you. So
that one sounds familiar.
Yeah, so I was like, I need to make a course out of this, and so that's what led me to the Flip Your Life or Flip Your 9 to 5 Live, that event. And what's funny is, even though I went to that event, I didn't produce the course until this year. But it's done now, and it's up.
It's done now.
Yeah, that's all that matters. It's not the greatest, but it's up.
I think that's an important point, though. I mean, everything online looks so fast and so easy, and everyone looks like, you know, oh, well, I had this idea, and then I just turned around and I did it, and it was awesome and amazing. And I think it's important to point out that that's not the case for all of us. You know, there's a lot of us who had a great idea, but, you know, as we often say, life happens. A lot of the times it takes us a little bit to figure out what we're doing and why we're doing it and who we're doing it for. And then, you know, you've got life mixed into that, and you can't always hustle and work 24/7 on this side business that you want to create. So yeah, I mean, hey, you did it, right?
Yeah. And it's, like I said, it's not glamorous, but it's done. And now I can go back and polish it. But, you know, it's not sexy, but it gets the job done. And it tells you what you actually need to know to become a ghost blogger in 48 hours.
Yeah.
Assuming you already know how to write.
Assuming you already know. Yeah, that's important. You need to do that. You need to know how to do that before you try to take the ghost blogging course. Yeah. So walk me through, because I know I have the little insider information. I know that you've just recently pivoted away from ghost blogging. So walk us through a little bit of what was going on in your life or in your head, or, you know, what kind of had you start slowly figuring out that maybe ghost blogging wasn't what you wanted to do, and it's something else. I don't know yet what that something else is. Yeah.
Well, I mean, a person running around town calling herself famous Ashley Grant, you know, I'm far too vain to keep my mouth shut about things that I'm working on. So one of the things that happened is in 2016, I had busted my rear end working very hard on a very big project for a ghostwriting client. I had said that I would only do ghost blogging, but I got talked into doing a book. And this particular book became one of those passion projects that I couldn't sleep over. I became so addicted to writing it that I mean, I was literally like dreaming about it and thinking about it. And when I had to give it over to the client, I cried for 2 weeks. Because it was one of those things that as soon as I finished it, I told my husband, I said, this is bigger than my college degree. Like, it felt more important to me because I actually, like, I put my blood, sweat, and tears in that book. And it was on a subject that I had no idea I even had a passion for. And because of the NDA, I can't even tell you what the subject was. But it was one of those projects that I was like, what the heck am I doing? I can't be a ghostwriter because I can't tell anybody that I did this. And that was like the beginning of, I guess, the end of me wanting to be like, it was like I knew from that moment, like, I had to stop the ghostwriting, but obviously you guys still make money. So I'm not turning off the pipe of being a ghostwriter, but it's definitely not my main focus anymore. Now I'm trying to get back out there with my name. I mean, I've been publishing things under my name ever since I started as a freelancer, but it kind of was the back burner for a while, and now it's totally on the front burner again. And so a lot of the writing I'm doing now is under me. So I can say, I wrote that.
Yeah. I love that. So as you've been kind of walking through this pivotal point, I know ourselves included, a lot of entrepreneurs go through that transition stage, and you have some of the toughest moments, like some of the biggest struggles you've had in becoming an entrepreneur, but you also have some of the best aha moments.
Yeah.
So give me, I guess, if you have one of each, or however you want to put those out there, but what were some of the toughest parts of stepping into that acceptance of I don't want to be a ghostwriter anymore? And then what was like your aha moment when you figured out what you wanted to do after you stopped ghostwriting?
Okay. For me, one of the biggest fears that came up was when I was like, okay, I don't want to be a ghostwriter anymore. Ghostwriting was when I was making the absolute most I've ever made in my business. Somehow writing for other people without using my name, I was finally making full-time income as an entrepreneur. I didn't have to have a 9-to-5 anymore. I mean, I had a couple random 9-to-5s that I took, but while I was ghost blogging, I was finally making bank. And so when I decided, okay, I can't do this anymore, the question was, well, can I do it with my own name? Can I actually make it on my own name? And there's been a lot of fear with that. There really has. And, so I guess you could say that one of my aha moments was another piece that I was writing that I actually did get to put my name on. When it came out, I got so excited and so jazzed up, and I was telling everybody, like, oh my goodness, look, I did this. And then I got to be part of a book that was actually for GoDaddy. Several of the articles that I had written for them were repurposed into an ebook. And when it came out and I was able to tell everyone, oh my God, I'm part of this book. I wrote that. Like, I couldn't get enough, and I was so excited, and I knew that I had to keep trying to move forward. I have been taking random like gigs and stuff to keep things going, but I went to a blogging conference. I spoke at a blogging conference in May, and I met someone there who I actually had met last year whenever I was at another blogging conference. We kept talking and kept connecting, and funnily enough, the very next month we were at another blogging conference together, and this gal, it was weird that the stars were so aligned that we just kept talking, and she put me in touch with some people, and before I knew it, I was able to do a brand ambassadorship, which I'm still working on right now with Citrus Magic solid air fresheners and sprays, and I'm addicted. Like I'm loving every bit of it. Like I'm writing under my own name. I'm sharing things and I'm addicted to tweet chats. Oh my God. Which we'll get to that. But yeah, and like everything's been under my name, and I'm loving it. Like I'm addicted.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to come back to that. Okay. I want to jump back though, because you talked about something that everyone goes through, and that is the fear of making the change and going from a solid, this is a consistent income, to questionable, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it if I switch over into doing something else. How did you get yourself over that fear enough to be able to jump in and say, I'm just going to do it?
I'm not over the fear. I'm not. Like you don't always get over the fear, but I knew, I mean, I had a family tragedy in December, and that tragedy kind of showed me how short life is. And when that happened, all I could think was, if I don't do it anyway, I'm going to be right where I am, stuck, miserable, and no one can change it but me. And so I did it anyway. And there is still fear. I still have ugly cries. I still freak out a lot. I have the imposter syndrome. But I'm so passionate about trying to share things that I care about now. And I can't stop. Like, because if I do, then I let the fear win. And even though the fear's there every day, it gets a little bit smaller every time I keep going.
I wish Heather Gray was watching, because I know she would be like heart emojiing this so much, because you just said words that she is going to be so, so proud of. Yeah, I feel you on that, because honestly, I went through a little bit of the same thing with like the fear of jumping into this unknown and changing brands and becoming the face of the brand and having that imposter syndrome. And you're right, the fear doesn't really ever go away.
Yeah.
But I think the passion does just kind of, it smushes it down, and slowly but surely, eats away a little bit of that fear every day as you continue to push yourself, as you continue to challenge yourself. So I love that. I love that and that's, I can totally see that in your personality as well. You're just a doer, and it doesn't matter how long it takes or how hard it is, you are going to get it done. I love that.
That's the plan anyway.
That's the plan anyways. So now you are working with your brand ambassadorship, and then you also were kind of dabbling into, what did you call it? Blog, you were doing like some blog coaching and whatnot, or?
Oh, yes. I'm doing a little bit of blog coaching. I am teaching people basically how to start their own blogs for their businesses, because since I don't want to be writing them, I can at least tell them how the heck to do it, and how to hire people that do it if they don't want to. So, and again, I am still doing some ghostwriting. So like if it gets to a point where they can't figure out who they want to hire and they don't want to write it, okay, I can still take on some work. But yeah, I'm coaching people in how to do it for business so that they can move their businesses forward and get that organic traffic, get your SEO, all that good stuff. So yeah, I'm still doing a little bit of that.
I love that. All right. Well, I want to kind of know, what has your hubby's reaction been like throughout the journey? I know he's supportive, but what kind of effect has he had on you? And then, has he had any struggles through this while you were kind of going through the struggles? And you're already laughing.
Well, when I told him that I didn't want to ghost blog anymore, he's like, "But you're making money at it." And I was like, "Yeah, but I'm not happy." And he's like, "But you're making money at it." And I'm like, "But I could make money on my own name." And he goes, "But you stopped. So how can you make money on it now?" And it was kind of he had the same fears as I did. Like, here you're making so much money with one thing, and now I'm telling him, "Hey, we're changing everything." And he was just as scared as I was. And, and he even said, recently, whenever I landed the brand ambassadorship, he's like, "I love you to pieces, but just know you got lucky." He's like, "And if you screw it up, you got to do more ghostwriting." And I'm like, "Okay, so I can't screw it up."
Thanks, love you too.
Yeah. It's all from places of love. It's not like hating on me or anything, but yeah, just he keeps it real. Like he keeps it real in the sense that he keeps me grounded and lets me know, like, yeah, okay, I have all these big, hairy, audacious goals, but we also got to pay rent.
Yeah.
So he's like, I'm really happy, and I'm glad that you are doing what you want to be doing, but if it doesn't work out, please don't forget you can still ghostwrite. So yeah. He's been pretty awesome though.
That's another great point too. A lot of people talk about the reason behind starting their business is so that they can leave their 9-to-5 and have that time and financial freedom. But what I think a lot of people don't talk about is that it's okay sometimes if you have to go back and do something short term if you need to contribute to, the family finances. It doesn't count as a failure. It's okay to need a little bit of extra help sometimes while you're getting stuff going on the side. So I love that, even though it was coming from a place of love, he was not afraid to call you out on that whatsoever.
Well, and my favorite thing that he has said to me many times lately is, you mentioned the failure, and he said, it's only failure if you stop trying. And I've really been embracing that a lot, and I've also been embracing the word experiment a lot, because that's one of the things that's been helping me get over fear. Is if I treat everything as an experiment, no matter what happens, I'm not failing. I'm just learning what's not working.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah, so that's why I started joking at the end of 2016 that my word of the year for 2017 was going to be experiment. And I think that it's going to be my word of my life for the rest of my life, because it's so good.
Yeah. No, it really is though. And I love that you point that out, because Tom talks about that all the time, and having those theories of you're going to do something and you think this is what's going to happen. But if it doesn't, what are you going to turn around and do to get the expected outcome that you originally wanted? So keep testing and keep putting it out there. And, as long as you're coming from a place of integrity in your business and in your life, I don't think you can make a wrong move. Maybe you make a little stumble here and there, but ultimately you're going to get back up and say, okay, well, that was a bad idea. Let me not do that again.
Yeah, well, I have two comments on that. First, you said the thing about integrity. That's one of the reasons that I wanted to make sure that the brand ambassadorship I took was one that I actually wanted, not one that I was just doing for the money. When I learned about who it was with, I had to be sure that I was okay with the company. And I have to say that because I knew who they were, and once I learned more about them, that's why I was like, okay, I'm in. Let's do this, because I want people to know about the product. I actually like it. It's not just something I'm doing for $1. But and then the other thing that you said was, okay, if this doesn't work, what else can work? You made me think of this thing I saw on Instagram the other day. It said, if plan A doesn't work out, there's 25 more letters. Stay cool. And I was like, yes, that's so good.
Oh, I love that. We're gonna have so many good quotes from this one. I can already tell.
Good nuggets.
Good nuggets. So speaking of nuggets, after you've kind of gone through this long and transformational journey of becoming and being an entrepreneur, what would you say your biggest piece of advice or your biggest lesson learned has been? Or I guess you could do both if you want.
Okay. I guess one of the biggest lessons is don't let someone else tell you your value. Whenever I was doing the ghostwriting, and even now, one of the biggest things that I have a hard time with is, I believe that I should charge a certain amount. And you have everybody who tells you, oh, you cost too much, or you should give me a discount, or don't you know I'm a struggling entrepreneur? I love that one. And, don't let anyone tell you your value. If you think that your prices are where they should be, keep them. And if they're not willing to pay them, go to someone else. And it's hard. It really is. Like, I've totally been the girl who did an article for way less than I should have. And, and I find that you resent the person and they end up resenting you because it's a bad experience. So don't let someone tell you your value. And let's see, what else do I want to say? Lessons learned. Well, it's funny. One of the things that was going on in your group was I had mentioned that if one more person says you have to get up early to be a good entrepreneur and be successful, that I'm just going to hit someone, because I get so sick and tired of people like pushing all these articles down your throat. You got to get up early. And I loved one of the comments, and I can't remember who it was that said it now, and I'm sorry, but they said, you got to use a routine that works for you. And it's like, oh yeah, like that's more important. Like, forget what time I wake up. Like, I have clients that could potentially be all over the world. So what time I wake up really doesn't matter. Yeah. And that's why I love webpreneurship so much, is because like the time of day doesn't really matter as much. What matters is that I get up every day and I'm showing up.
Exactly. You're getting your work done. I want to jump back too, because we kind of had a pattern come out of this, which was we've made some amazing connections at live events. So we met at a live event. We would have probably never encountered each other, or we wouldn't have been, it wouldn't have been such a good friendship and working relationship if we hadn't met. And then you met the connection with your then brand ambassador at live events as well. So, I mean, I know it's hard because it is an investment a lot of times to go to these live events, but even if you're just meeting up with people locally, get to know some other entrepreneurs, make those collaborations, make those connections, keep in touch with people if you can. I mean, you don't have to talk to each other every day, but, just shoot a message or an email every once in a while and say, hey, what do you got going on? What are you working on? What's coming up in your life and your business? Because you never know what might happen out of those connections.
That's true. But I will say one thing, when you're following up with people and checking in with them, be authentic.
Yes, please.
Don't make it obvious that you're just trying to connect to make $1. It's so funny. Yesterday I saw a video that was about the multi-level marketing and how people you haven't talked to in years all of a sudden are like, hey girl, hey, let's be friends so that I can sell you my crap you don't want. And, that's not authentic. That's not building a real relationship. So if you're going to check in with someone and say, hey, how's it going? Just wanted to see what you're up to in your business. Don't immediately add a sales pitch after that. Yep. So if you're trying to build a relationship, build the relationship. The pitch can come later. So.
Yeah, and I feel like if you can build those relationships and keep them up, then it's not awkward when you reach out to somebody and say, hey, I've got an opportunity for you. Are you interested? Because all of those times before, you've just been chatting, you've just been keeping in touch with that person and saying, oh, hey, this is a real cool person that I want to get to know and keep in touch with online, taking time out of my day to send a quick message just to see how you're doing. And then down the line, if you have like, oh, I want to interview you for my live show, or oh, can I jump on your podcast? I've got, this coming up in my business and I'd really appreciate it if I could jump on in front of your audience or whatever. So be authentic and be honest. And, I think people can see that when they are keeping a connection with you. And I would say also don't waste your time keeping connections that aren't authentic for you and aren't valuable for you, because that's the thing too. Everyone's like, oh, I got all my whole network and I've got all these people that I know, but I feel like it's that quantity over quality thing again. You don't want a lot, you want the quality of the connection in the network. So yeah, I love that. All right, so we've had lots of gold nuggets dropped on this episode. If you are watching the replay with us, please drop any questions, comments, emojis flying into space. And tag one of us if you have a question specifically for Ashley or myself. Ashley, where can people find you? I know you're like everywhere on the interwebs. So
Yep. I'm at famousashleygrant.com. That is my website. And then I'm also on Facebook, Famous Ashley Grant, Instagram, Famous Ashley Grant, and Twitter wouldn't give me enough characters. So on Twitter, I'm at Ashley is Famous.
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah. It's a very common theme. I love it. Thank you so much for coming on, Ashley, and sharing your story. I love hearing all the different things from all of the members that we've had on from the Family Entrepreneur Life community. And you guys should definitely follow Ashley because she posts cool stuff all the time.
You never know what I'm going to be up to.
And she's really, really funny. So usually I get quite a laugh or a giggle out of whatever I'm following on Ashley's social media. And she also posts often in the Facebook group, Family Entrepreneur Life, which if you are not a member of, you should definitely come on over and join us, familyentrepreneurlife.com.
Yes.
I think that is everything.
Let's be friends.
Yes, let's be friends. Be friends with us. Find Ashley at Famous Ashley Grant anywhere on the internet, basically.
Yeah.
And we'll be back. Actually, later today, I've got a double feature going on. We'll be back later today with a rescheduled live from last week. So tune in with us if you can. Thank you, Ashley, for coming on. You were the opening act today of the double feature. Whoop, whoop.
Well, thank you so much, Ariana. This has been fun.
All right. Thank you, everyone. And we hope to see you soon.